The unthinkable challenge. The Kryloran Empire had ruled the stars for nearly 2 millennia. Their dominance across 12 galactic sectors was absolute, their military might unchallenged, and their technological superiority unquestioned. At the forefront of their military power stood the Vanguard fleet, 50 massive warships equipped with weapons that could shatter planets and shielding that had never been breached. Admiral Zorax stood on the command bridge of the inevitable Conquest, the flagship of the Vanguard fleet. His 4 eyes scanned the holographic displays, showing the positions of his fleet as they maintained their blockade of the Tarjan Nebula. Behind the nebula lay the recently discovered human territories, insignificant worlds inhabited by a species that had barely achieved interstellar travel within the last century. "Status report," Zorax demanded, his scaled skin reflecting the blue light of the displays. "All systems optimal, Admiral," replied Commander Vext. "The humans have made no attempt to break the blockade. Intelligence suggests they are gathering their forces, but their military capability is minimal. Our analysis indicates they possess only 37 warships, all of them technologically inferior to even our smallest vessels." Zorax nodded, satisfaction evident in his posture. The Emperor had ordered this blockade as a prelude to annexation. Humans would make excellent laborers in the dilithium mines of Krylor Prime, and their worlds were rich in resources the Empire needed. It was a simple calculation. "Sir," the censor officer interrupted, her voice carrying a note of confusion. "We're detecting an anomaly on the edge of the nebula." "Specify," Zorax commanded. "A single ship has emerged from the cloud." It's just one vessel, Admiral." Laughter rippled through the command bridge. A single ship against the Vanguard fleet. It was beyond absurd. "Classification?" Zorax asked, already dismissing the threat in his mind. "It appears to be a human design, but our systems are having difficulty getting an accurate reading. It's not matching any known configuration in our database." Zorax waved a dismissive hand. "Send the Vanquisher to intercept and destroy. No need to waste the fleet's time on a single human vessel." The Vanquisher, a destroyer-class warship capable of laying waste to an entire planetary defense system, broke formation and accelerated toward the human ship. The bridge crew of the inevitable Conquest watched with casual interest, some placing bets on how quickly the human vessel would be reduced to atoms. "Vanquisher is in weapons range," reported Commander Vext. "They are preparing to fire." What happened next would forever change the course of galactic history. The human ship, a sleek, dark vessel with barely visible blue energy lines running along its hull, suddenly accelerated to an impossible speed. Before the Vanquisher could lock its targeting systems, the human ship had closed the distance between them. A pulse of energy, invisible to the naked eye, but registering as a massive power surge on the Kryloran sensors, emanated from the human vessel. The Vanquisher's shields, designed to withstand the combined firepower of multiple enemy fleets, failed instantly. The energy pulse continued through the ship, causing cascading system failures throughout the vessel. In less than 10 seconds, the mighty Kryloran warship went dark. All systems offline. Silence fell across the bridge of the inevitable Conquest. "What just happened?" Zorax demanded, his voice low and dangerous. "The Vanquisher's systems have all failed, Admiral," replied the tactical officer, disbelief evident in his voice. "They're dead in space." "Impossible," Zorax hissed. "Launch fighters. I want that human ship destroyed immediately." Squadrons of Kryloran fighters poured from the hangar bays of 3 warships, 200 sleek attack craft racing toward the human vessel. The Krylorans were among the most skilled pilots in the galaxy, their neural implants allowing them to react with computer-like precision. The human ship remained stationary, seemingly waiting for the approaching fighters. Then, just as the fighters came within weapons range, the vessel emitted a spherical energy field that expanded outward at tremendous speed. The field passed harmlessly through the fighters, but their engines died instantly, leaving them adrift in space. "Admiral," Commander Vex said, his voice now trembling slightly, That was some form of targeted electromagnetic pulse. None of our systems are designed to withstand that kind of attack. Zorax gripped the railing of his command platform, his knuckles whitening. Deploy the fleet. Full attack formation. I want every weapon targeting that ship. The Vanguard fleet, pride of the Krayloran Empire, moved with practiced precision. 49 massive warships arranged themselves in a hemisphere formation, surrounding the human vessel with enough firepower to reduce an entire planet to molten slag. All ships report weapons locked. Admiral, said the weapons officer. Fire, Zorax commanded. Thousands of energy beams, missiles, and projectiles converged on the position of the human ship. The space around the vessel became a maelstrom of destructive energy, bright enough to momentarily blind the optical sensors of the Krayloran vessels. As the chaos cleared, the impossible became reality. The human ship remained, completely untouched, surrounded by a faintly shimmering field that had somehow absorbed or deflected the combined firepower of the Vanguard fleet. "That's not possible," whispered Commander Vex. "Nothing can withstand that level of attack." Before Zorax could respond, the human ship began to move. Its movements were unlike anything the Krylorans had ever seen. Not the linear acceleration of conventional drives, but a strange, almost fluid motion through space, as if the vessel was somehow bending reality around itself. The ship approached the nearest Kryloran cruiser, the Indomitable Will. As it neared, a beam of energy, thin as a needle but blindingly bright, lanced out from the human vessel. The beam struck the Indomitable Will precisely at its power core. The Kryloran warship's shields offered no resistance. The beam penetrated the hull, and for a moment, nothing happened. Then the Indomitable Will exploded from within, the chain reaction of its power core turning the massive warship into an expanding cloud of superheated gas and debris. Fear, an emotion foreign to Admiral Zorax, began to creep into his mind. All ships, evasive maneuvers. Do not let that vessel approach. But the human ship moved with impossible speed and precision. One by one, it targeted the Kryloran warships, each time firing that same precise beam with devastating results. 5 ships destroyed, then 10, then 20. The Vanguard fleet, which had conquered star systems without suffering a single loss, was being systematically dismantled by a single vessel. Zorax stared at the tactical display in horror as ship after ship vanished from the screen. This couldn't be happening. The Kryloran Empire had the most advanced technology in the galaxy. Their ships were invincible, their power absolute. "Admiral," Commander Vex said, his voice barely audible, "the human ship is transmitting a message." "Put it through," Zorax ordered, his 4 eyes fixed on the view screen. The image of a human appeared, male, by their dimorphic characteristics, with dark skin and calm, determined eyes. He wore a simple gray uniform with no visible rank insignia. "Admiral Zorax," the human said, his voice level and almost conversational. "My name is Captain Thomas Chen of the Earth vessel Defiance. You are currently experiencing a demonstration of humanity's defensive capabilities." Zorax snarled, baring his pointed teeth. "You are committing an act of war against the Krayloran Empire. Surrender now or face complete annihilation." The human's expression didn't change. "Admiral, I believe you've misunderstood the situation. We are not starting a war. We are preventing one. Your empire's policy of conquest and subjugation ends today." "You are one ship," Zorax spat. "The empire has thousands. Your worlds will burn for this insolence." "We are one ship," Captain Chen agreed, "and we have destroyed 35 of your most powerful warships without suffering so much as a scratch. Consider what that means for your empire if we were to deploy our full fleet." The human paused, allowing his words to sink in. Around the inevitable conquest, the remaining ships of the Vanguard fleet were trying to coordinate a retreat, but the human vessel was systematically cutting off their escape routes. "Here are our terms, Admiral," Chen continued. "The Kryloran Empire will immediately cease all aggressive actions against human territories. You will withdraw all military forces from the borders of human space. You will release all sentient beings currently enslaved within your empire. Failure to comply will result in consequences far more severe than what you've witnessed today. Zorax felt cold rage building inside him. The Kryloran Empire does not negotiate with inferior species. We have ruled the stars for 2,000 years. We will not be dictated to by primitives who have barely left their homeworld. Captain Chen sighed, a surprisingly human gesture that somehow made Zorax even angrier. Then allow me to be more direct, Admiral. The Defiance is equipped with a dimensional resonance cascader. In simple terms, it can initiate a chain reaction that will cause your sun to go supernova. We have similar devices positioned at the hearts of 28 stars throughout your empire, including Krylor Prime. We can activate them remotely at any time. Zorax felt the blood drain from his face. It had to be a bluff. Such technology was theoretically possible, but had never been successfully developed. The power requirements alone would be astronomical. As if reading his thoughts, Captain Chen added, "You're wondering if I'm bluffing. Ask yourself this. 6 hours ago, would you have believed a single human ship could destroy most of your Vanguard fleet?" Zorax had no answer. "We'll give you 24 hours to begin compliance with our terms," Chen said. "After that, we start removing stars from your empire. The choice is yours, Admiral." The transmission ended, leaving the bridge of the inevitable conquest in stunned silence. Commander Vex was the first to speak. "Admiral, what do we do?" Zorax stared at the view screen, where the human ship hung in space, surrounded by the wreckage of what had been the pride of the Kryloran military. Everything he had believed about his empire's supremacy, about the natural order of the galaxy, had been shattered in less than an hour. "Send a transmission to the Imperial Council," he said, his voice hollow. Tell them we need to negotiate." As the remaining ships of the Vanguard fleet gathered around the inevitable conquest, the human vessel maintained its position, a silent reminder that the age of Kryloran dominance had come to an end. The galaxy was about to change forever. Humanity's message. The Imperial Council of the Kryloran Empire convened in an emergency session for the first time in 3 centuries. The 12 High Counselors, representing the oldest and most powerful houses of Krylor, gathered in the ancient Hall of Dominion on Krylor Prime. Emperor HFY sat on the obsidian throne, his normally imposing presence diminished by the news that had reached them from the edge of the Tarjan Nebula. "This is impossible," declared High Counselor Drav, his aged scales dull under the hall's lights. "One ship cannot defeat the Vanguard fleet." Admiral Zorax must have lost his mind. "The sensor logs don't lie," countered High Counselor Mira, the youngest of the Council and head of the Imperial Science Division. 37 warships destroyed or disabled, and the human vessel sustained no damage whatsoever. The technology they displayed is beyond anything we've ever encountered. Emperor Xerath leaned forward, his 4 eyes narrowed to slits. "Are we certain these humans weren't aided by the Altarians or the Quantum Collective? No emerging species could develop such technology independently. Our intelligence indicates no alliance between humans and any major power," replied the Imperial Spymaster, a shadow-like figure standing at the edge of the Council circle. "In fact, until now most galactic powers considered humans to be of minimal consequence, a curiosity rather than a threat." Clearly, that assessment was flawed, the Emperor said, his voice carrying an edge that made several counselors flinch. "What do we know about this? Dimensional resonance cascader. Is such a weapon possible?" High Counselor Mira hesitated. "Theoretically, yes. We've explored similar concepts ourselves, but the energy requirements are staggering. To affect a star would require harnessing the power of a small black hole, at minimum. And these humans claim to have positioned such devices throughout our empire." The Emperor's voice was dangerously quiet. "We've detected no such devices," Mira admitted, "but given their demonstrated ability to evade our sensors, that doesn't mean they don't exist." The Emperor rose from his throne, approaching a massive holographic display of the Empire. It showed 12 sectors of space, thousands of star systems, billions of sentient beings, all under Kryloran control, all potentially at risk. "We cannot allow this threat to stand," he declared. "Prepare the Grand Armada. Every available ship. We will crush these humans with overwhelming force." "Your Majesty," the spymaster interjected, "that may not be wise. If the humans truly possess the capability to destroy stars, engaging them directly could trigger exactly the response we're trying to avoid." A heavy silence fell over the council chamber. The Kryloran Empire had expanded through force of arms for 2 millennia, overwhelming all opposition through superior numbers and technology. The idea that they might need to exercise restraint was alien to them. "What about the human demands?" asked High Counselor Lithis, whose house controlled the Empire's vast mining operations largely dependent on slave labor. "Releasing all slaves would devastate our economy." "Better a damaged economy than a devastated homeworld," Mira responded sharply. As the council debated, a new transmission arrived. The Emperor gestured, and a holographic image appeared in the center of the chamber. Captain Thomas Chen of the Defiance. "Emperor Xerath," Chen said without preamble, "I understand your council is deliberating our terms. Allow me to provide some context that might assist in your decision-making process." The hologram expanded, showing the Defiance still positioned among the remnants of the Vanguard fleet. As they watched, the human ship began to change. Its hull seemed to flow like liquid, reconfiguring itself before their eyes. What had appeared to be a single vessel split into 3 separate ships, each identical to the original. "What you're witnessing is molecular reconstruction technology," Chen explained. "The Defiance is composed of programmable matter that can be reconfigured for different mission parameters, or multiplied when necessary." The 3 ships moved in perfect synchronization, as if controlled by a single mind. "We've maintained the illusion of being a singular anomaly because we wanted to demonstrate that even alone, humanity represents a force beyond your comprehension," Chen continued. "The reality is more concerning for your empire." The hologram shifted to show a vast nebula, glowing with blue-green energy. Within the nebula, thousands of points of light moved in formation. "This is the human fleet," Chen said. 10,000 vessels, each with the same capabilities as the Defiance. "We've remained hidden while we studied your empire, assessed your technological capabilities, and prepared our response to your aggression." Emperor Xerath's scales had paled to a sickly white. "What are you?" he whispered. Chen smiled slightly. "Just humans, your Majesty. We evolved on a world that tried to kill us every day. Extreme weather, natural disasters, predators, disease. We survived by adapting, by innovating, by refusing to accept limitations. When we reached the stars, we brought that same determination with us." The hologram shifted again, showing a star suddenly brightening before collapsing in on itself, a precisely controlled nova that destroyed only the star while leaving the surrounding planets intact. "A demonstration," Chen said. "An uninhabited system on the edge of your empire. Proof that we can do exactly what we claim." The council chamber erupted in chaos, councilors shouting over each other in panic. The Emperor remained silent, his ancient eyes fixed on the human captain's face. "You could have destroyed us without warning," Xerath said when the chamber had quieted. "Why this approach?" "Because we're not conquerors, Emperor," Chen replied. "We don't seek dominion over others. We seek a galaxy where all sentient species can exist in peace, determining their own destinies without fear of enslavement or annihilation." "Noble sentiments," the Emperor said, "but naive. The strong have always ruled the weak. It is the natural order." Chen's expression hardened. "That natural order ends today. Humanity won't allow it to continue, and we have the power to ensure its end. Your empire can adapt and survive, or it can resist and fall. The choice is yours, but be aware that our terms are non-negotiable." The transmission ended, leaving the Imperial Council in stunned silence. "Your Majesty," the spymaster finally said, "I believe we must seriously consider complying with the human demands, at least temporarily, while we assess our options." Emperor Exarath turned from the holographic display, his face unreadable. For the first time in his 300-year reign, he faced a threat that could not be crushed by military might. It was unsettling. "Begin preparations to recall our border fleets," he ordered, "and initiate a census of all enslaved populations within the Empire." "You're giving in to their demands?" High Counselor Lithis asked incredulously. "I'm buying us time," the Emperor snapped. "Time to understand this new enemy, to study their weaknesses, to adapt our strategy." But as the council dispersed to carry out his orders, Exarath remained in the chamber, staring at the space where the human captain's image had been. Deep in his ancient heart, he knew that the Kryloran Empire would never be the same again. The age of unchallenged conquest was over. Across the galaxy, on the bridge of the Defiance, Captain Chen watched as the Kryloran forces began their withdrawal from the border regions. Beside him stood Commander Alia Rodriguez, his second-in-command and the architect of their revolutionary propulsion system. "Do you think they'll actually comply with all our demands?" she asked. Chen shrugged. "Eventually. They'll test us first, look for weaknesses, try to determine if we're bluffing about the extent of our capabilities. And when they discover we are," Rodriguez asked with a raised eyebrow. "By then, it won't matter," Chen replied. "The Alliance will be in place. The Altarians, the Quantum Collective, the Free Worlds of Orion, all of them are tired of living under the shadow of Kryloran aggression. They just needed proof that resistance was possible." He turned from the view screen, looking at the diverse crew working at their stations. Humans from Earth and a dozen colony worlds, each bringing unique perspectives and ideas that had contributed to the technological marvel that was the Defiance. "Humanity's greatest strength has always been our ability to inspire others," Chen said quietly. "We show what's possible, and suddenly the impossible becomes achievable." Rodriguez nodded, her eyes on the tactical display showing the retreating Kryloran ships. "So what's our next move, Captain?" Chen smiled. "We do what humans have always done best. We adapt. We innovate. We build. And most importantly," he gestured to the stars visible through the view screen, "we explore. There's a whole universe out there, Commander, and humanity is just getting started." As the Defiance turned away from the remnants of the once mighty Vanguard fleet, its hull shimmering as it prepared to jump to faster-than-light speed, a message was being transmitted across the galaxy, not in words, but in deeds. Humanity had arrived on the galactic stage, and nothing would ever be the same again. The age of Kryloran dominance was over. The age of human innovation had begun.